Throughout the last few decades, speedrunners have achieved some pretty amazing things, such as beating Super Mario Bros. In a staggeringly short 4 minutes and 54 seconds, completing Animal Crossing 100% in less than 20 hours, and even conquering timeless classics while blindfolded. But make no mistake, while these popular games have seen a lot of attention and discoveries, speedrunning doesn't discriminate. As such, you can find a thriving, albeit maybe small, community behind most games, no matter how obscure. This includes things such as The Little Mermaid, McDonald's Treasureland Adventure, and Glover, just to name a few. In 1997, the developers Japan Supply System released their first game for the Nintendo 64, Chameleon Twist. Chameleon Twist is a 3D platformer with a grappling mechanic, using the chameleon's tongue to swing around the geometry in the game. The game has a thriving speedrun community, despite its obscurity, with runs dating back as far as 16 years ago. Like most speed games, Chameleon Twist has a variety of categories that runners compete in, such as any percent, 100%, and ILs. An IL is an acronym meaning individual level. This means instead of running an entire game, you can run only a single stage or level from it. IL runs are typically more optimized than full game runs. In Chameleon Twist, there are 17 IL categories, any percent and 100% for each of the game's 6 levels, and 5 more. Training Room. Training Room, also known as Time Attack in the Japanese version, is a game mode in Chameleon Twist that allows you to practice the most basic mechanics in the game, but with a catch. You are on a timer. As most of you are aware, any game with a timer will inevitably be ran. This includes short, obscure categories such as Training Room. There are 5 training rooms, labeled simply 1 through 5, each with their own history of tricks, strategies, and records. Today, though, we are going to be talking about the shortest of these. Training Room 5. The rules are simple. Cross the red line to start the timer, then touch the final platform to stop the timer. Sit back while we go on this relatively short and fascinating journey. The earliest history of Training Room isn't well archived, as IL runs weren't as documented until the past 5 years or so. Still, people were running Training Room as far back as 2014 and 15. Back then, all 5 categories were ran together in a joke category called Training Percent, as seen here on this old leaderboard from before the days of speedrun.com. Still, the archival wasn't as good, so the more comprehensive history begins in 2019 when the first time was submitted to the main leaderboard. Why it took this long is somewhat bizarre, but I digress. On May 5th, 2019, the runner and glitch hunter Ellie would submit the first time of 5.90. Already the category is less than 6 seconds long, so surely it can't get much shorter, right? Let's take a look. Notice that Ellie grabs the first pole from behind the red line. Spinning across is certainly faster than walking. Ellie also skips several of the platforms by reaching all the way to pole 3 and spinning to the second to last platform, completing the room in only 3 spins. A solid first time had been established, showing that a good portion of the room could be skipped entirely with good movement. Still, this could be optimized. 6 months later that same year, a new runner would step in to optimize the category a bit more, Broby, with a sizable improvement. Using the same strategy as Ellie, Broby managed to shave off almost an entire second off of the run by simply cleaning up movement aspects, obtaining a 5.06. At this point though, it was clear, sub 5 might be possible. Sadly, the category remained dormant for over a year, until January 13th, 2021, when Chameleon Twist World Champ and longtime veteran Quill and All the Fish, or Quill for short, achieved the ultimate run with current strategies. A new world record, and one that shattered the 5-second barrier no less. This run was excellent. Using the same strategy as Ellie and Broby, Quill managed to execute an insane run. This was as low as Training Room 5 could seemingly go. In order to push further, a new strategy would be required. And that concludes the history of Training Room 5. Or does it? Fast forward to April 2nd, 2021. Kefka 14, another Chameleon Twist World Champ and veteran, had something brewing. Something that would shatter the meta of Training Room 5 forever. .90, sub 4 seconds after only recently breaking the 5-second barrier. The new strategy was not easy. Using a precise starting position from before the starting line, you could spin all the way to the center platform, or platform 3, and only use 2 spins instead of 3 to complete the challenge. It could be optimized further though, and later that day, Kefka did just that. A 3.83. Kefka was more than satisfied with this improvement of the new rather difficult strategy. And that concludes the history of Training Room... well, never mind. On May 12th, 2021, Kefka finally managed to land a very tricky 2-spin route that had been theorized to work. To date, this is the only time this strategy has been successfully executed, landing Kefka a category-shattering 2.40, beating the old world record by more than a second. This was mind-boggling, a run done in under 2.5 seconds. In less than 3 years, this short category had been cut in half. This was truly the peak for Training Room 5. Until October 30th of that year, when a discovery was made by a newer Chameleon Twist runner, Cyanide Gunner. Cyanide had discovered that if you stick out the tongue in Training Room after crossing the starting line and hold B while restarting the room, that the game would carry over the tongue animation. That same day, Glitch Hunter Eternal Lurker realized that in Training Rooms 4 and 5, this included grabbing onto the poles. After restarting, the Chameleon will now be able to spin immediately. The catch though is that the Chameleon would spin around the axis of whichever pole was grabbed. With this new tech, Kefka got to work that day. First to come was a new world record of 2.16. Kefka stored a pole grab on the second pole. This allowed him to spin all the way to the second to last platform, and then finish out the room with a final spin. It could be optimized further though, so within 10 minutes of that, Kefka managed to do this. Was sub 2 seconds possible? Not even a half hour later, the answer came. .86 seconds. This was the ultimate end for Training Room 5. At least until Eternal Lurker and Kefka began to experiment with the other poles in the room. They wondered if spinning all the way to the end from the starting line was possible. Finally, Kefka managed to pull it off. But to no avail. The timer didn't start as the Chameleon had not passed the red line. After some further experimentation by Eternal and Kefka though, this happened. .63 seconds. A world record that is shorter than 1 second long. Jokes related to clue speedruns aside, this was a huge achievement. Just 2 days later, Eternal Lurker would get in on the action. 0.60. Kefka wasn't done though, and fired back that same day. Under 0.6 of a second, but he wasn't done there. .53 seconds. Now this category is even shorter than Clue. This new route saved a tremendous amount of time and allowed the run to become the shortest category in Chameleon Twist history by far. Let this be a lesson. No matter how short or arbitrary a category may seem, there are always interesting and exciting discoveries to be made. As far as what's next for Training Room 5, well, a 5.0 may be possible, but very difficult. Thanks for watching.